Hello. Come back. This week we are going to be going over chapter 9, and I put up in the materials and resources section. There are taking advantage of those supplemental materials. There will be articles and a lot of TED Talks, so you'll be watching a video, but it's a TED Talk. I put them in there to supplement the book, discussion boards, and my information. I also put them in there because perhaps you're reading the book and it's still not exactly making sense to you. There might be a video, because perhaps you would understand better if you were watching a video, if you were hearing a TED Talk, hearing somebody tell you something, rather than reading it from the book. I love this book. I've said this before. Northhouse book I think is spectacular. But that does not mean that everybody's going to feel that way, and that does not mean that everybody is going to grasp it the way others do. Excuse me. So I hope you are taking advantage of the supplemental materials in materials and resources. That's also where the PowerPoints are, because this book does have PowerPoints. I hope you've been utilizing them. But again, back to chapter 9. I wanted to talk about authentic leadership a little bit, but I wanted to show you this article that you see on the screen is one of the supplemental materials, because I was looking at the chapter, and the first thing it talks about is authentic leadership defined, and in the book it even tells us that it's a little difficult to define. And then Northhouse goes on to tell us different viewpoints of it, which I love that he gives you different perspectives. And he tells you the first viewpoint is an intrapersonal perspective, the second one is an interpersonal perspective, and then the third is a developmental perspective, which I'll let you read them as you start the chapter. But then I was looking at the supplemental materials, and I liked this one. Just started out with authentic leadership is a theory that is still forming in the business world. So that reinforces what Northhouse is telling us, that it is a little hard to define because it is something that is still in the infancy. And when I say infancy, we know some of these theories go back decades and decades. So even though it says that this theory was created by Bill George in his book Authentic Leadership, published in 2003, which is 20 years ago, when we have some theories going back to the 80s, the 70s, and past that, you'll see that this is still basically in its infancy. And Northhouse does mention George in this book here, in his book. I'm sorry, I apologize. So, like I said, this is supplemental material that will help reinforce what is in the book, but also possibly give you the data in a way that you might understand a little better than reading Northhouse. Perhaps reading this article is going to give you a better perspective of it. It's very, very interesting. It breaks it down maybe differently than Northhouse would. Sense of purpose, distinct values, relationship building, goals, and continuing on. So I wanted to welcome you to week 6, welcome you to chapter 9, welcome you to authentic leadership. But I also wanted to make sure you are taking advantage of these supplemental materials that are in the materials and resources section. Again, they can add to it, they can help maybe define, give you a different perspective on any of them. There are numerous materials and resources in the materials and resources folder. And again, some are going to be articles, some might be an assessment for you to take, some might be a video, something audio, a TED Talk, something along those lines. Put that TED Talk on as you're going for a walk, or in your car, if it's something you can stream in your car, and get that additional information to you. But please, I hope you're definitely taking advantage of those resources. Again, at the back of this chapter, we have the criticisms because, again, love this book because he just doesn't give you his perspective. He tells you about those who critique the theory. Then we have the applications, how to apply this leadership theory. So it's just, I've said it before, I'll say it again, love this book. But I love the materials and resources in Blackboard where you can gain some additional knowledge. Might help you with writing your assignments, might help you with your discussion board. So please, if you haven't already, I'm hoping you all have, but if you haven't already, please check out the materials and resources. And I hope you all have a very, very wonderful week. Oh, I almost said week 9 because we're on chapter 9, week 6.